You're listening to the Flourish Mindset, where we talk to entrepreneurs and discover their successes, their failures, and their secrets to winning at business. Hey everybody, and welcome to the Flourish Mindset, where we bring entrepreneurs to you to help you grow and develop and build your business. Today I have Tjesvold here with me. Joe is the founder of Advertise Edge. He started that in 2017 while he was still a junior at MSUM college, a business major and a football player at the same time. Sounds like you like to keep busy right away. And Joe has won multiple awards for video making with Advertise Edge, including the Tellys, the Addies, Davies, the Communicator Awards, just tons of awesome opportunities and awards out there. That's awesome. And then, Joe, you switched your focus a little bit in your video making and marketing in 2020 and launched Chezy's. Last year. Can you tell me a little bit more about like what that is and how you changed and what your focus is on now?
Yeah, so Advertise Edge was going well. We were continuing to win more and more creative awards for some of our work, for directing, for video editing, and so on. Then 2020 rolls around, and obviously the pandemic comes around as well, which really slowed us down.
Yeah.
So we took that opportunity of not having a ton of work to do to really reflect on our industry. And throughout the conversations that we've had with our past clients, they really wanted more video and more consistency throughout the year.
Sure.
But they didn't have the budget to be spending $3,000 to $5,000 to $10,000 for each individual social media video.
Right.
So that was the problem that we really wanted to tackle since we had the time to in 2020, was that the video marketing world, the price for each video is just so damn expensive. So how can we help out small businesses and small nonprofits be able to afford high quality video marketing?
That's so important.
And that's when we started to develop our approach and the editing technology that we have to make videos a lot more efficient. So ultimately we can charge a lot less for high quality video.
I'm sure that has been a big success so far. I know that we've used that with the Brandenburg crew. It's so hard to just put a lump sum of money aside knowing that you're going to have one thing come out of it, but knowing that you can have multiple pieces of content come out consistently throughout the year was a huge help with us. So that's awesome.
Yeah.
So, I mean, this is your full-time focus right now, right? How does your day look? How do you kind of juggle it all? Because you still have Advertise Edge going on a little bit in the background. Mm-hmm. How does that all balance out?
Yeah, I would say I got a lot going on. I'm very ambitious, and I would say the secret to success for me is something that I do daily, right? Okay. I think there's a quote out there that says you can't change your life unless you change something you do daily. So what I do is I get up at 5 a.m. every single morning, and I head to the gym. I go to Maximum Performance and Fitness in West Fargo. Give them a plug. Get there at 5:30 and do my hour-long group workout with that team.
That's awesome. And
I'm back home at 7, and from 7 to 7:15, I'm making coffee. I'm making a protein shake. From 7:15 to 7:45, doing some sort of learning. So sometimes I'll be reading some sort of business book. Sometimes I'll be reviewing note cards that I have. I make note cards based off of all of the books that I've read and try to memorize the key points from each book. So it continues to stay with me. Otherwise, I'll just forget. You got too much going on.
Right. They'll pop up from time to time in the back of your mind, but that's about it.
Yep. What I've been doing lately is actually in the past couple weeks here is I've been learning Norwegian.
Oh, wow.
Just for fun. I was learning Spanish for the longest time. I'm like, you know what? Everyone knows Spanish. If you know another language, it's probably Spanish.
Right.
I was like, you know what? I want to be different. So chose Norwegian. It's part of my heritage. So.
Sure. Have you been to Norway?
No, but that is my plan here. In the next couple of years is to take my father there.
Oh, that would be so cool. Yeah. Are there any specific landmarks or anything that you want to visit while you're there?
No, not really. I haven't dug too deep into it. My last name is Norwegian. That's why it looks so funky and is not pronounced how it looks.
Right.
So the last name is spelled Tjosvold, but it's pronounced Tjesvold. And that's also where I got the name for Chezy from. It's the first part of my name. It's kind of like a childhood nickname, Chezy, Tjesvold.
It's so creative though, but like.
It's something that sticks with people for sure.
Right.
So
you have till 7:45 you're learning.
Yep, learning about something. 7:45 to 8:15. I'm getting ready for the day, and
Okay.
I'm in the office at 8:30. So.
It's very structured. Like you're very down to the minute. It seems like.
Yeah, before work, I want to be successful, both physically and mentally, before I even step foot into the office.
Why is that so important?
I just feel like it sets you up for the day well. I think, up until like 100 years ago, we spent so much time as human beings walking around and
Yeah.
doing physical labor type of work. And now we're in desk jobs for a lot of us.
Mm-hmm.
And I think we do need to burn off some of that energy that we all have pent up inside. And I think that's not only for physical sake, it's also for mental sake, to make sure that we are kind of approaching the day in the right way.
Sure.
So yeah, I try to improve physically and mentally right before work. And it kind of just allows me to have that confidence and success before work even starts.
I think that's so important just because, you have already been to the gym, you've already learned for the day before most people are waking up, or right when most people are waking up, and a lot of the excuses, I don't have time, I wish I could do this because I don't have the time to do it, but you make those mental choices to fit that into your day by waking up early. I know for me that if I'm not learning something on a regular basis, maybe it's not daily, but on a regular basis, I feel like I'm stuck in this rut and I feel like just demotivated and frustrated. So I love that you make sure that you have time every day to learn, to keep yourself fresh and mentally challenged. I think that's so important. So that's awesome.
Yeah, I'm definitely not perfect at it. There's definitely some times where I fall off, but in those times, kind of what I do to try to get back into it is kind of just telling myself the most important thing that I can do in a day is going to the gym. Because that's the hardest part of your day.
Right.
When you're at the gym, you get your ass kicked, and when that's the hardest part of your day, it makes everything else easier.
Right.
So, I just think that mindset of going into it, this is the most important thing. If I just do this one thing today, it's successful. So the night prior, you make your choices. Are you going to have that extra drink, let's say,
Mm-hmm.
or are you going to stop because you need to get up in the morning?
Right.
Are you going to have buffalo wings, or are you not because you don't want heartburn in the morning? You
Right.
don't want any type of excuse
Right.
that's going to say, I'm not going to go in the gym.
Sure.
So
Do you do this even on weekends?
I do not.
Okay.
Try to do something physical on the weekend, whether even if that's just a walk
Sure.
around the neighborhood or anything like that. But yeah, not on the weekends.
I think it's good to have a break though too, so that's awesome. Okay, so kind of talked about your day or your morning mentally preparing yourself in the morning. I find that when you are, dabbling in multiple businesses or you're growing a business, there's a lot that's weighing on and pulling you in multiple directions at a time. How do you manage your day at work? How do you, are there any parts of your day that are very important to maintain and make sure you're hitting on them every single day or at least a couple times a week? And do you protect those times?
Yeah, so on my calendar, I have all of my mornings blocked off.
Okay.
Except for this morning. I changed some things up.
I'm honored.
To make this happen. But based on my priorities, as a business owner, I have certain things that I like to focus on. So on Thursday mornings, I'm doing research and development, doing very visionary stuff for our product and service that we offer to make sure we're continuously improving what we do. On Tuesdays, it's sales and marketing, usually. On Wednesdays, it's finance and culture focused. So I'm blocking off my mornings to focus on individual things.
That's great.
And priorities that I have as a CEO of Chezy and Advertise Edge. So really block off my mornings and let my afternoons be open for anyone that wants to meet with me about anything, whether that's internal or external individuals.
That's awesome. I think I'm glad that you protect your mornings, or there's protected time. I think that when you don't have that protected time, you find yourself pulled in a million different directions, and then you're making up for it somewhere else in your day, trying to get to that time. So that's awesome. Are there any pieces of technology or any tools that you utilize regularly in your day to run your business?
To not only run my business, but run my life is my Google Calendar.
Yes.
If it's not on my calendar, I will not show up because I have no idea it's happening.
Right? I live by my calendar.
It could be, a friend set something up yesterday, right? And if it's for today, if it's not on my calendar, I'll forget to go, right? So just making sure every single night and morning I'm reviewing the calendar, seeing what I've got going on. So we use Monday for our CRM and just project management software for Chezy. I'm trying to think of other tools that we use to run our company. QuickBooks for bookkeeping and accounting. We use Vimeo for our video database. So all of our video assets are on Vimeo instead of YouTube.
Is there a reason that you did that?
There's a couple of reasons. For you as a business owner, you should use YouTube, I would say.
Okay.
For us, we need specific things for our database because we're a video company and we have, 2,000-ish videos right now.
Sure.
So we have a lot of content and we need it to, it needs to work with our clients. So when we send out a download link so they can download that video asset, it works a lot smoother than YouTube.
Okay, that makes sense.
So
awesome.
we're using Vimeo, and then we use a lot of the Adobe Creative Suite as well. So what we do in editing is we approach things a lot differently within Adobe Premiere Pro, and even create automations with technology to automate some of the video editing and streamline that whole process. So those are some of our software and tech tools that we use as a company.
That's awesome. I think that a lot of people kind of wonder if they're utilizing good tools, and when you can validate that with other people who are successfully using those tools, that's beneficial. All right, so you have been running companies since you were 20 years old-ish. Is that right, roughly-ish age? Or have you been running companies even before that, like little things when you were younger still?
I guess when I was in middle school and high school, I was mowing lawns.
Okay.
Paying for gas. I would use my parents' lawnmower, but I would rent the lawnmower, and I would pay for the gas. So they kind of taught me about like cost of goods sold and kind of those business expenses that come along with your revenue. So
I think that's so great. Okay, so you've been doing this for a while now. What motivates you? What drives you to want to start a business or to keep good business going even through hard times like 2020 when not a lot of people were wanting to make videos?
Yeah. I think a constant improvement is something that motivates me. I'm never satisfied with what we have now. I'm always trying to improve something. So when I look at Chezy, from when we started to where we are now, it was a lot of interview-based videos, and now we do a lot of animation. We do a lot of different types of promotional videos and to really diversify the portfolio and video library that we give to our clients. So I think it's that constant improvement. And for Chezy, we have kind of the Chezy value equation is what we call it. So the client value is our focus. So we have 3 core values. Find a way, be a team player. And the last one is not only a core value, but it's also our focus, which is maximize value.
Oh, I love that.
We're trying to always maximize value, and how we maximize value is our price point. We are either trying to stay the same or go lower.
Okay.
Because that's a big differentiator for us. Most video companies are trying to have the most budget that
Right.
they possibly can.
Right.
So we're trying to go lower with price. We're trying to go higher with increase quality, increase the quantity of videos that we give, and increase how easy it is to work with us as well. So we're constantly trying to improve those 4 areas. So then ultimately our value as a company and our value to our clients is constantly increasing as well.
I think that's so awesome because it drives people back too, knowing that you have new opportunities, new programs out there, and higher value than it's been before.
Mm-hmm.
That's so cool. All right, so who has been the biggest influence for you?
Yeah. I think this kind of, so there's a book called Creativity Inc.
Okay.
The founder of Pixar wrote it, Ed Catmull. And I think what we try to do with Chezy is really match that culture that Pixar has. And most people think of this, Pixar's got to be this classic creative company, right? Where you have the ping pong tables and
Right.
all of that, when you think of your creative agency. And that may be true slightly. However, their biggest differentiator for their culture is actually having a problem and solution-based culture. So anybody can bring up problems. In fact, they are constantly trying to find more and more and more problems that they have, uncover problems that they didn't even know existed.
Okay.
So when you bring problems to the spotlight, all of a sudden we are finding solutions as a team.
Mm-hmm.
So it's a wonderful book. It's not only for, I would say it's not only for people that are running a creative agency. It could be used for any industry that you want. Really, it's a book on management and it's a book on culture.
I think that's so great. But you said, it's a issue and solve, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like, I think a lot of times people find the issues and they bring the issues to the light, but they're too scared to actually solve them. So how do you emanate that piece of it yourself in your company? How do you empower your team members to help solve the issues?
Well, I think when it really comes down to it, everyone has ideas,
Mm-hmm.
right? And ideas come from people.
Mm-hmm.
So therefore, people are more important than ideas.
Mm-hmm.
When they give their idea, it might not be an idea that really works, and they might even feel like that idea might not work. It's just adding something that maybe someone else could find a solution with.
Sure.
But really, it's creating a culture that you are not your idea, and when you identify too closely with your ideas, when they're challenged, you're going to take offense.
Sure.
So removing yourself from your ideas and knowing that your teammates have genuine respect for you is an important thing. Now,
Yeah.
this is not the case for all cultures, right?
Right.
So there's that trust that we have as a team, and without that trust, we wouldn't be able to have this type of culture. So it's really allowing everybody from the intern on up to have a voice, to not only talk about the problems, but also be a part of solving the problems.
I think that's so awesome. And when you feel like you're able to solve problems and have that voice to solve problems, like how much more respect do you have for the people who are listening to you, and how much more like empowerment do you have? So that's so cool.
Mm-hmm.
So is that your favorite book then, or is there another book that's pretty powerful to you too?
I'm trying to think here. I guess I recently read The Advantage, which is another organizational health style of book. Mm-hmm. Similar to Traction, which is also a great book about creating a operational system,
Right.
of how you run things. But it's more so on culture and organizational health. So Yeah, I mean, there's a couple different books. I can't really think of any off the top of my head right now, but
Well, both of those sound like phenomenal places
Yeah.
to start when you're building up the culture in your company and really pouring into your people. So that's awesome.
yeah.
Okay. This one's going to take us in a little bit of a different direction.
Okay.
Has there ever been a time that you had an opportunity put to you, but you just couldn't take it at the time, and you really wish you had figured out a way to accept that opportunity or accept that item into your life?
Yeah, I think this is a little bit difficult for me. So my strengths are focus, competition, futuristic, strategy,
Yeah.
and relator.
Those are a few of mine too, actually.
Yeah.
I've got the competition, the relator, the strategic.
Mhm.
The other ones are a little lower, but
So I'm constantly trying to move forward, being a futuristic type of individual.
Right.
I'm rarely looking at the past.
okay.
I feel I reflect on my days
Okay.
often, and I reflect on my full weeks, but I don't necessarily dwell on a decision that I made a year or two ago.
Okay.
It was difficult for me to think of an opportunity that I wish I would have taken. Because I don't know. That's just not my mindset, I guess.
I love it. That's
So,
okay. You don't need
yeah.
to be, I mean, like, you shouldn't be dwelling in the past. I think that some people maybe identify things that they're like, I didn't do that right this time, but next time if that comes up in the future, I know now to keep my eyes open for it and be open to the universe or open to that opportunity when it comes by.
Absolutely. And I think having a failure and growth mindset
Absolutely.
really plays into that. I don't know if there's things that I can identify that I would do differently, but I would definitely do things differently than 5 years ago when I started this company.
I think that's important.
But I have no idea what specifics those are because I'm not living in the past, I guess.
Sure. Okay. So when you initially started both Advertise Edge and now Chezy, I'm assuming you guys had a vision. If you follow traction, you had a 1-year plan, maybe a 3-year plan, a 10-year plan. Chezy's coming up on that second year, finished now. How has it differed from what you initially put your plans out there to be?
Yeah, so Advertise Edge, our vision was to make produce videos that are Superbowl ad level of creative work.
Your videos are amazing, by the way. I love watching your ads.
Yeah, thank you so much. So that was our vision. As a young entrepreneur, I did not actually have a vision of how we were going to get there.
Got it.
So I think what I learned when coming up with when I was developing Chezy is like, this is a model.
Mm-hmm.
This is an operating system for creating videos that I have a clear vision of how I'm going to make money, of how I'm going to help these individuals, these entrepreneurs, these industries.
Sure.
And I just think there was a lack of clarity when I was working on Advertise Edge and pivoting to having a little bit more structure with our vision and how we're going to knock down doors one by one to get to our ultimate goal. And I think with Advertise Edge, it's still in the back of our head that we want to make that high level work. But we're not focusing on Advertise Edge right now. I think what we're doing right now is we're growing Chezy because it is a very, very unique video business. There's
Absolutely.
we haven't really found a competitor in the nation yet. Certainly nothing local in Fargo or Moorhead. So we're going to grow Chezy because not only is it's a win-win for our clients, for the price point, the value, and then it's also a win for us because we've created something that's so streamlined that I like to equate it as Chick-fil-A.
Okay.
Versus Advertise Edge, which might be Maxwell's or
Mm-hmm.
Mezzaluna.
Yep,
right?
the fancier restaurants, yeah.
I would rather own that Chick-fil-A than that one higher-end restaurant.
Right. It's scalable, it's
scalable.
growable. Scalable and growable are the same, but.
So anyway.
So do you have plans for Chezy branching out further in the world?
Yeah. So right now our focus is getting more projects in Phoenix, Dallas, and Nashville. Trying to get a little bit down south, so we have more green time throughout the year for video.
Sure. Yep.
But then also getting into some larger markets. Chezy being a volume business, we would definitely have a ceiling if we only wanted to stay in Fargo.
Right.
So we need to get into other markets and larger markets that there's a lot more population, businesses, all of that. So
I think that having that creativity and that uniqueness is definitely going to help you break into those markets too. There's plenty of businesses that are shopping for the right type of video and ad creation out there, so that's awesome.
Yeah. I think eventually we'll come back to Advertise Edge and kind of use the capital that we built with Chezy to put into Advertise Edge to go from level 5 to level 70.
Right.
Within a 6-month period.
So that goes back to futuristic and strategy too. So when you initially started with Chezy, it was kind of going in a different way of marketing, but in the back of your mind, was it always that I'm going to do this and use this piece to leverage myself or leverage an Advertise Edge down the road? Or is it kind of just flowed into that over time?
Yeah, I mean, our thought process at the beginning wasn't we're going to do this because we want to build Advertise Edge in 5+ years.
Sure.
It wasn't that at all. I think the reason why we exist is to help our clients, especially the clients that have never done video before because it was out of their reach financially. So to do to really help those, that's why we exist. And yeah, I wouldn't say our vision was we're doing Chezy to build Advertise Edge.
Sure.
They're both completely separate.
Well, I mean, I wouldn't have assumed that just because of the core values and the focuses that you have are very different, it seems. So, and even your markets are very different. But I think that when you start multiple companies, in the back of your mind, it's, how can these benefit each other? How can they support each other? I'm sure that it helped, even on the Advertise Edge side. There was people that you couldn't help, and that's how you identified needing to open Chezy, because you couldn't help these people on this end. But hey, now I can still provide them high-level quality content, but I don't have to charge them the prices at the Superbowl level. So I was just curious where you were going with that. So that's awesome. We are coming up on our time a little bit here, but a couple other important questions. We've kind of touched on failure a little bit, but what does it mean to you?
I think failure's something that I hold very close, right? So it started at a young age. When I was in high school, I played high school football, and I wanted to go to Division I level.
Okay.
Ultimately landed at South Dakota State, where I played for 3 semesters. And in that first year that I was there, I failed. I straight up failed. All right. I pulled my hamstring 3 times throughout that year, but it was very preventable. Right. I could have had better nutrition, hydrated better, and then did yoga to make sure that I'm not putting myself in danger for some of these injury risks. So at the end of the day, I had to pick up my things, and I transferred to MSUM, and that's kind of where I used that failure to make sure I'm not going to do that again, and learn from that. So that was not only taking care of my body for football, but it was also, I'm going to be a lot more career focused now.
Right.
I'm going to pay a lot more attention in class and make sure I'm doing the things that I should be doing.
Right.
Being elite at everything that I'm trying to be at in life. So I think failing is something that I very much appreciate because of how much you grow from that. I think, especially when you're starting a business.
Oh, yeah.
Especially when you are self-made, right? You're going to make so many mistakes. And I think accepting mistakes as not evil but
Right.
they're necessary for you to, even a small pivot to make sure you find success. You should never try to be in a comfort zone, because nothing ever grows in a comfort zone, right?
Right.
So I think failure is something that you shouldn't be scared of failure. You shouldn't try to fail by any means.
Right.
But if you're not failing, especially when you're a new company, you're definitely not reaching very far, I would say.
It definitely stunts your growth when you're
Yep.
not even taking the risks that potentially will lead to failure.
Mm-hmm.
So I love that, and I love that you were able to identify what you could have done better in some of your failures. I think that you had an opportunity to just, I failed, it just proves it wasn't right for me, and walk away, but instead you found the pieces that led to that, and how can I change that? How can I adapt? Failure is what leads to growth, right? So it's not going to lead anywhere if you're not willing to own it and you're not willing to identify and then grow from there. So I think that's awesome. Okay, so we're almost out of time. What's one important thing that you feel a new entrepreneur, somebody starting out, needs to know and should keep in mind as they're growing?
Yeah. I would say, this is an incredibly hard journey, right? It's a mentally and emotionally hard to be an entrepreneur. So I worry about people that say, I want to start this thing because I want to be my own boss.
Oh, yeah.
That's not good enough.
Right.
Like, this is way too hard to just be your own boss. So in my mind, like, if I'm going to start a business from here on out, and this is not what I did with Advertise Edge, because I kind of didn't have a very good vision of how I'm going to get there.
Right.
But a very well thought out way of how you're going to make not just a good amount of money, but a damn good amount of money.
Mm-hmm.
Right? It's got to be worth the hell that you're going to go through to get there.
Right, right.
So it needs to be about money, or it needs to be about time. That's the two different ways that I see entrepreneurship.
Okay.
You might be spending 80 to 100 hours a week trying to make $1 million a year, or you might be trying to, I'm just trying to make $40,000 a year, but only work 5 hours a week.
Right.
Right? Two different mindsets for success when it comes to being an entrepreneur. I worry about the individuals that want to start a business for the sake of starting a business, and they think that they'll be happy making $50,000 a year. In my opinion, it is way too difficult to work that hard just to make kind of an average salary.
Right. So you need to make sure your passions are in the right spot and that you're doing it for the right reasons, not just doing it on a whim or doing it because you think you can work 20 hours a week and make a good amount of money.
Right. A very well thought out plan of how you're going to do that.
Right.
So,
do you have any ideas for how they go about finding that plan?
So there's a lot of organizations like the SBA, SCORE, that can help you build out that business plan for free and get you in touch with a lot of resources for loans or any type of connections that you would need as you start out.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Yeah, I think people think that they have to do it on their own, but there's so many programs out there for, like you said, the business plan, loans, grants, anything you need to start a business is out there already, so utilize the resources too. So that's awesome. Well, thank you so much for joining me, Joe. If my listeners want to reach out to you, is there a way that they can do that?
Absolutely. My email is joe@chezy.com. That's CHEZY.com. Happy to have a coffee with anyone that wants to chat. And I'd be happy to just be a resource if you're trying to start a business.
I love it. Thank you. And if you are looking at doing video marketing, plug for Joe. He does phenomenal work. Chezy does awesome work, and you will not regret working with them. So reach out to Joe for anything. And thank you again for joining us. And thank you for joining us with the Flourish Mindset. If you have any questions for Joe or for me, reach out or comment on YouTube. Thanks so much.
Thank you.
You've been listening to the Flourish Mindset. Don't forget to subscribe and follow so you don't miss a single episode.